I'm sadly done. You have political ads on your channel, and I don't care who you vote for, but this doesn't belong on a thrifting YouTube channel. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. Welcome to the Commonwealth cabin. You know, I got a message the other day about somebody who unsubscribed and the reason why they unsubscribed, and I'm like, oh boy, because I knew the topic was going to come up today in a different way. And you know, if you've been watching the show for a while, I kind of avoid politics on the show, and I'm going to just dabble in it just a shade. Do you hate politics too, huh? Actually, I don't hate politics. I just hate it when I'm trying to watch something else. Huh. The only politics Wallen cares about is who's going to get him. Which side's going to get him the most treats? Me or Mama? Any rate, I'll get you your treats in a second, but I also wanted to tie it into some threats in reselling. Threats to reselling, I should say. It's something I've talked about before. I want to give you an update on the sad lawsuits. I've been doing some behind-the-scenes stuff. I want to give you an update on that and a few comments about some very interesting topics that kind of border on politics a little bit, but I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to get partisan in this one, but I do think that there are some issues that really are very, very important to resellers, no matter which side of the aisle you sit on here. And we're going to talk about those today, and hopefully we're going to keep it civil. We've got some, well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. We got some cool sales, but no huge dollar sales today. Those came in today, and we're going to talk about those on the next episode. We also have to give away, announce the winner for the giveaway that we did back on a show not too long ago where we got into the money side of it, the financial side of it. So we're going to do that as well. And that's actually where this comment that led to this video is coming from. Let's go take a look. Look at you sitting all nice and quiet there. There you go, bud. See what I mean by cool sales? Not necessarily high dollar sales, although they have been coming in today. I just looked, we had 2 more. Can't wait for the next video. But this is an awesome one. I bought this at the 127 sale 2 years ago. Somehow, some way, I didn't get it listed, but it is now listed. We got listed. Pepe Le Pew pencil holder, or maybe you could put a little flower in there or something. You never know. I don't know. But this one sold for $22.80 plus shipping. I'm a little bit sad it's gone. Oh my goodness, Boots is in here. Whew, that never happens. Hi. Hey, let's start with this comment that kind of got me afraid to do this video a little bit, but we're going to do it anyways. They said, this is a commenter on, I think it was the Picker channel, I'm sadly done. You have political ads on your channel, and I don't care who you vote for, but this doesn't belong on a thrifting YouTube channel. Look, Boots, y'all. She never comes in here. She doesn't even like me. She doesn't like anybody, actually, except for Turner. Anyway, this, if I can get this skateboard to sit here, I gotta find a better place for skateboards. Here you go. You want a skateboard? Sold a couple of these. They have been here for a long time. And finally sold Blackout Buddies. I've sold quite a few of them, but the last 2 just seemed like they took forever to sell. These went for $27.92 plus shipping for both of them. American Red Cross Blackout Buddy. So before we get the rest of these sales and before we get into these topics, just public service announcement. I don't control, as we get into this political season, I'm sure it'll ramp up more and more. People see different ads based really more on them than based on me and my channel, although it's a combination of all of those things. So I don't choose what commercials go on here. So whatever commercials you see on here, it's just purely by chance. I don't even have any idea. I don't even watch it because I have the subscription thing, and so I don't watch those ads. But at any rate, my apologies if the ads out there offend you. Just know that I'm not picking those ads and I'm not endorsing anybody, any of these candidates. As we get closer and closer to the election season, you'll see more and more of that stuff. And I really do try to avoid political things on this channel. And, you know, occasionally, sometimes reselling issues kind of overlap into that. We're going to start with the sad cases and some behind-the-scenes stuff that I've been doing, or I've been trying to research and understand and communicate with certain people. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about a couple other topics. One is odd, but I get a lot of it lately. And that is, do you think a cashless society is going to be a threat to resellers? And I was like, And of course, there's political undertones to all that as well. And we'll throw in a few other things that possibly are threats to the future of reselling as well. But I got to pick a few things, and we'll kind of mix all that into this video. I guess I have a little experience, you know, teaching the public schools and teaching history, AP World History, and getting into all kinds of issues. That reminds me of it, because I bought this set of books right here, Revolutionary Diaries. There's the local publishing house with some older books that don't have trademarks and all that stuff on them anymore. A lot of them don't anymore. This is the one that attracted me, the life right here of, I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's name, Equiano. And I used to teach about him. He has an amazing life. And I saw that book, and I'm like, man, I'd love to read that thing. My wife's like, you're not ever going to read it. I'm like, I know. I've read most of it before anyways. And it was $5 for all these books. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grab it. Maybe I'll pull that one out. Maybe I won't. But they should have value. No comps whatsoever. But it's a nice set of books. I put it out there for $19. And it sold rather quickly. So not making a ton. Making about $10. But somebody's got a cool set of books. Maybe it's for decoration. Maybe there's one in there that really attracted them to it. Like that one did me. And I was always very impressed with my students. We'd get into, you know, ancient world isn't exactly terribly political, but we would always do comparative history. This Black Manta, by the way. And it sold for $11.80, I think, plus shipping. It was on 30% off. And when we do those comparative histories, eventually we'd get into the Cold War era at the end of the year, you know, more modern history, and we'd get into the Cold Warriors and all the different stuff going on. And then it would start to get a little bit political, but I was so impressed with the kids. I'm also impressed with everybody who listens to this channel. By the way, that item did not sell for a long time. It finally was around for more than 250 days, and we put it on 30% off and sold like that. So I like this new strategy. And that's that kind of middle zone. It's like you're not doing 10%, you're just doing 30. Like, okay, it's been around long enough. If it doesn't sell at 30, we'll reevaluate everything and see if we want to relist it, do something different, change something, or cut bait. I hate cutting bait, but occasionally it's the right thing to do. And I've also been, to be honest with you, pleasantly surprised when I do get into issues like I have occasionally from time to time that kind of straddle that line between reselling and politics of some sort. That I think maybe, I don't know, maybe this is common knowledge. Maybe I should expect this. But when you're out there, and especially in political seasons, you know, sometimes you just, even if you enjoy politics and you're adamant about certain things, like I'm sure you are and I am too, you just want to get away from it, and especially in political seasons. And so that's not what I want to do on this show, but I do want to talk about these few things today. I'm going to grab one more item, and then we're going to get into the first one. But there's one more, I think, that is a little bit more global, not just domestic, but a bigger picture thing looking at reselling, and it will tie into this first little update on those sad lawsuits. I picked up these two the other day at a yard sale. I paid $2. These are not the original ones. These are repops. If they were the original ones, I go for huge money, but obviously it's easy to check on the back. I think Kenner's the ones who put out the first one. These are 2020. And I knew they wouldn't be worth a ton, but they were worth $2. Even if nothing else, I would keep them. And I decided that they'd be perfect for Dibdit, and I put them over there pretty cheap. I put this one up on Dibdit.com, and it sold really quick. Used that magic feature and put it in my Instagram. Sold for $10 plus shipping on that one. And I don't know if they used, come in, bud. I don't know if they used the code Commonwealth. If they did, they got $5 off. And so they got it for $5 plus shipping. But anyway, that one is pretty cool. You like that, Turner?
Yeah.
Are you jealous? Should I have given it to you?
No.
But the Ghostbusters movie is out. Did you like the Ghostbuster movie? Mm-hmm. It was pretty cool, wasn't it? Are you coming in here to ask me a question?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to know?
In the truck bed or the back?
In the truck bed. Okay. Thank you. Turner's got some chores to do today, so he's picking up all of the trash from Wallen chewing on things in the backyard and all his baseball stuff, and he's got some of my trash here, putting it in the back of the truck so we can go to the dump. But at any rate, I don't even know who bought this. Let me go look real quick. Jessica bought this at Breadbox Thrifts. Jessica, thank you. I appreciate that. It's always nice to sell something over on Dibdit. We've got some other sales. I'm going to put I might put one at the end of the video. It was a charity auction, and then the other ones that were charity auctions over there, I'll mention you guys in the next episode. So, but we appreciate you very, very much. And I don't know. If it was Slimer, I would have kept it for my 80s cave in there for sure. All right, I lied. I'm going to pick one more real quick. This is, just got in here actually. I don't love doing NASCAR diecast. It just doesn't really sell. But this happened to be a decent little Jeff Gordon one. I can't remember what it was exactly. It was like a charity one or something. Had a good sell-through rate. So I'm like, okay. And sure enough, it sold $20 plus shipping. As I'm sure many of you know, if you've been watching this show for a while, or just reselling shows in general, a few people have talked about these sad lawsuits. I've actually done, I don't know if I've done 2 or 3 videos about them, but I know I've done at least 2. These things, I think, if they continue to be abused, there's a threat just by fear over resellers that, hey, maybe something's going to happen and they're going to come after me in a lawsuit for selling something I shouldn't sell. And just the fear itself causes people to be cautious about reselling. And in reality, we have the right to resell, period. It's protected constitutional right. And there's different ways these big companies, and smaller companies for that matter, have infringed upon that. But at the same time, there's actual trademark law and copyright and all that stuff that people really need to be careful about, the things that are clearly unlawful. But these sad lawsuits, I'm not going to go over the whole thing again, but they were, and they still are to some degree, probably as much as they ever were, a threat to reselling, especially a certain way. I think this really affects people who do like Amazon return pallets and stuff a little bit more, and newer items than used items, but I've seen it happen on used items as well, and certainly on like handcrafted kind of stuff, upcycled stuff and all that. And so I think it's important that resellers understand all this stuff. So I did those videos. Long story short, I contacted different legislators that I had some association with. You know, I was a teacher for a long, long time. And of course, the government teacher would have all these politicians in that were running for office at the time. And I'd get to talk to some of them, some pretty big name folks that a lot of you might even recognize. And so I could contact these folks, and I've been able to talk to a few staffers for them and dig in and get answers for some of these questions. And as I pull this next item, I'm going to give a thank you to a gentleman named Jeff, one of the staffers, who is extremely helpful and extremely diligent in these matters. And I got to be honest with you, these aren't your typical political issues. These are things, and I said this on previous shows, that aren't really divided by our typical political lines. They're issues that both sides agree on and both sides disagree on, which is a little odd. You don't normally see that. I sold this Scooby-Doo keychain right here, $7.66. I decided to keep this one on sale because it is probably the least popular of all those keychains, and we have a bunch of them, so we're making a little bit of money. Not much. We're making about $3. Less than that, $2.50 a piece on those. So I got to say, even for these people whose job it is, these congressional staffers and things, and they have their services, the Congressional Research Center and all this stuff, where they can tap into and really get access to a lot of data on this stuff, more than I can get. And I gave a lot of data to a few gentlemen, but especially this guy. And I gave YouTube videos that I posted in the previous one. And this guy really dug into this thing and really gave me some pretty good insight on it. And I was very appreciative of it. It seems to be his opinion now, and this is going through quite a bit of stuff that he went through for literally weeks. It seems to be that this is controversial. These sad lawsuits are legal-ish, but it's the way they're being implemented, and certain judges doing certain things have been able to curtail that over time. And the body of law, you know, whether it's universities around the country and these these journals are coming out, and those things tend to affect decisions made by judges. They look at those things and they consider all kinds of things, and it's his opinion that I was entirely right. Well, it wasn't me. It was the folks I was talking to about this massive increase of these lawsuits in one particular place, and really with one or two judges, two places. And that it looks like the tide is slowly turning away from allowing these companies to proceed in these Schedule A lawsuits without certain things being in place. And the hope is that if that continues, that fewer of the little guy will be caught up in it, and the designs of the legislation are really to be in certain jurisdictions. In other words, it's not necessarily meant to catch, if this is happening in Illinois, it's not meant to catch somebody up in, you know, Georgia or something, but that's what's happened. And that's where a lot of this danger lies, in my opinion. A lot of this stuff when it was supported by these politicians, was passed and pushed and endorsed and co-signed by people who were really trying to attack these major counterfeiters around the world. And it's not really a domestic issue, but it becomes a domestic issue when those counterfeit goods come here. And then these companies begin to use this idea of counterfeit goods in order to attack people selling their goods that aren't counterfeit. And they literally just look up items that are using trademarked words and those kind of things and begin to mass sue massive amounts of people because they know they can get away with it using the ins and outs of these Schedule A lawsuits. Well, it looks like the tide is slowly turning against that practice. And it seems to me, hopefully, not just me, but a lot of you have woken up a lot of folks around the country to say, hey, yes, there needs to be, legislation against counterfeits and different people coming in and protecting these businesses' rights. However, it doesn't need to catch up mom and pops who might list 1,000 things in a year and one of them happen to be illegitimate and they get sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars, or they're extorted to pay an $800 bill to get out of this lawsuit and nonsense like that. So at least I can say that there are politicians now, because let's face it, politicians care about votes, right? Who realize that this stuff can't go on like this. And I hope that that has started to change things. I don't know that it has. I'm not going to say that it has. But I think at least in the folks I've talked to, there's a knowledge of it now. And another weird thing is that Luke Combs thing. I don't know if y'all saw that a while back where, and in my opinion, he was probably going after her unknowingly. It was some company doing it for him. And she really was doing something that wasn't right. Putting Luke Combs stuff on, I don't know what it was, tumblers or whatever, and selling them, that weren't officially licensed and all kinds of stuff like that. You kind of get the point. But that made him look really bad, and he rescinded that and paid her bills and all that stuff. And I think that helps us in the court of public opinion and keeps people from doing that kind of stuff as well. And unfortunately, that stuff still happens, but every time it happens, I know it's happened because I get like 3 or 4 emails about a particular suit because somebody got caught up in it. And some of the folks I know personally, and I was able to at least point them in the right direction to get people that would help them. And there are avenues to get help if you get caught up, and you shouldn't have been caught up in something. And now I think we have a couple more allies that are actually political allies, and I'm not talking about party here because this thing goes across party, if I may speak frankly here. I think this might have been the one that sold. Let me talk about this one first. I think this is it. No, that is not it. This is it right here. Vera Bradley bag. I haven't sold too many, but I don't have as many as I had. I had tons of them. Vera Bradley is not a crazy good seller, but it still does sell. This one went to a viewer, went to Cynthia. $14.25 plus shipping. The key is certain designs, very good condition, and buy it cheap. So thank you to Cynthia. She says, thank you. I'm a reseller and a big fan of your YouTube content, Garage Sale Nation as well, etc. I appreciate all the hard work you put into creating it. Have a great weekend. Cynthia, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy that purse. And, thank you to everybody else out there who has reached out to me about these issues. And thank you for doing your part. I got a ton of messages from folks who are now aware of this stuff and look into this stuff. And I got a few commitments from folks as well, and some of these guys I've been talking to, where they are going to monitor these certain places where it's happening a lot and to see if it is going to slow down or increase. And if it increases, they want to continue the conversation with me. So I don't know. Hey, that's great. And I hope there's other folks out there as well who have done that. I know there have been 2 really good resolutions lately on some folks that have contacted me about it. That's encouraging. But I think we always got to keep an eye on this stuff because you can't underestimate businesses using whatever advantage they can to keep their goods, secondhand goods, off of the market to protect their firsthand market. And I think when times are good economically, that's not an issue. But imagine if times got really tough economically, how much more so they would do that stuff. And that got me thinking a little bit more about some of these comments I've seen a ton of lately, the more apocalyptic type stuff. I don't know if I can get this in there with one hand. Like the dollar as the reserve currency in the BRIC nations and cashless societies and all these different things that, obviously people, I'm not going to call them conspiracy theorists because a lot of that stuff is legitimate. I know it from studying history. I think it's in this bin right here. But at the same time, those issues, if they come to be, are going to be so great that it's going to dwarf the idea of reselling, and it's going to be much, much bigger. So an old polo hat with the leather strap on the back. It's not in perfect shape, but it's not bad. These always are good sellers for me. And this one sold for $18 plus shipping. So I guess I'll get into that cashless issue here in just a second. But before I do, the bigger issue that I was talking about, that I was getting comments about, was reserve currency and the threat of the dollar not being the world's reserve currency. And that, of course, brought me back to my high school days. I got my Dynamite Kid shirt on. So, you know, before America had the dollar as the reserve currency, the world's trade basically revolves around the dollar. It was the British pound. And before that, of course, Spanish silver and all those things. And it really, really does make a big, big difference if the world trades in our currency. But I'm just going to say this to all the people, well, there's just 2 of you, who left a comment about that. That is way, way more existential than reselling. If that were to happen, it would be disastrous. There's no doubt. If some other currency became the world's reserve currency, we'd all be in a little bit of trouble. Now, the cash thing, some people will think it's harebrained, but I think it is worth talking about in this business. You know, any other business that's not completely black market doesn't really care as much as we care about cash, because a lot of my business is done in cash because of where I buy, because I buy at garage sales and estate sales, but most estate sales you use both. You know, thrifters out there probably use a card. It's a Phillies hat. I bought this a long time ago, and I just couldn't resist, but I knew it would be a tough seller. There it is. It's an old Phillies hat, but it's Greg Luzinski, who's quite a character. And I'm like, look at that. Who has a Greg Luzinski thing? But I didn't know it wouldn't sell for too much. The hat itself, if cleaned, would have been worth more. This is made in the USA. This is is it wool? Yep, 100% wool. If I would have cleaned that hat and it had no signature, it would have been worth more because it's wool and it's made in the USA. It's New Era. But I wanted to sell it like this. Somebody else can do the cleaning. And I have a Greg Luzinski signature on it. I paid $1. It sold for $10 plus shipping. That's a good tip, by the way, because I get a lot of people say, oh, I buy hats all the time. They never sell. It's about the right hat. I buy hats all the time. And I pick and choose the ones that go on eBay. New Era, $59.50, made in the USA, wool in good condition, is going to sell. It's going to sell. It's going to have value for sure. So check those tags. So I've got more and more messages about this in the last 2 weeks. I'm not quite sure why. I know I saw something about April 2nd, you know, go withdraw money from the bank and make your voice heard or something. I don't know. But this is an Olympus camera. I picked up 2 of these lately, and boy, the model number makes all the difference in these styluses. This is a 300. I had one listed for like 125. This one listed for $37.95, and it sold pretty quick, plus shipping. So since I was getting all those messages, I'm like, what the heck? Let's talk about it, right? I mean, some people are concerned about it. Maybe there's more out there. So I just want to say this. I don't support that at all. I would love there always to be cash, always. But I do want to look at the issue in a different way. And if times got economically really, really bad, the government wants to find more ways to get money. And one way would be to find those folks who are dealing in cash, which, let's face it, most of that stuff, that if you conduct your whole business in cash, there's probably a reason why. Tax evasion, illegality of your business, that kind of stuff. And most businesses are like that. But reselling, the way that I do it anyways, a lot of it needs to be done in cash. So what kind of an effect would that have if we had a cashless society? There's no doubt. Now, I would say that in my opinion, it's probably inevitable. I'd like that to be like inevitable, like once I'm dead and gone kind of thing, but it is probably inevitable at some point to have a cashless society, unfortunately. So hypothetically, what would that affect? You know, if it happened tomorrow, it would probably affect sourcing for me in a big way. There's a lot of people who want to have a yard sale and just get rid of stuff, and that's where I find most of my stuff. But they don't want it to be tracked. They don't want to pay tax on it. They don't want to do all that stuff. Flea market folks, I mean, a lot of them, let's face it, they're not transacting everything at the flea market and paying everything if they're getting paid in cash. I mean, I'm not telling people how to run their business. I personally don't think that's a terrific idea. Certainly if you're selling like we do online, I mean, you're going to get taxed on this stuff. You don't want to open yourself up to that kind of stuff. But let's not be Pollyanna-ish here. That's what's going on a lot of times. So I think it would affect sourcing for sure. If you're transacting everything digitally, it's all traceable, and it becomes a little bit more difficult. You'd probably have fewer places to source. Now, having said that, it wouldn't disappear. It would become part of the normal course of action, and if people want to have a yard sale, they'd collect money digitally. We're already doing that, right? Have you ever paid at a yard sale using Venmo or Cash App or anything like that? I'm curious to know down below if you've ever done that at a yard sale. I know I have 2 or 3 times. So I guess I'll say this. I don't think even if that ever occurred that it would be a massive threat to reselling. What it would be is a threat to certain people's reselling because of the way they conduct their business. But I don't think it would be the end of it for darn sure. So I don't see that nearly as a threat as I see some of the other stuff. Is that Minnie Mouse? Yeah, it's Minnie Mouse. Anyway, a little Halloween Minnie Mouse. Sold for 18 bucks. Free shipping though, so probably paid $1. I just realized that Phillies hat went to a viewer. I didn't take the offer you sent because I was skeptical of the no COA. Well, no doubt, for sure. But I looked through my Phillies autographs and realized I have that one. That is a COA of Greg Luzinski, and I compared it to it, etc., etc. I figure I'll clean it and wear it. Like I said, that hat is actually worth far more than that. If you clean that thing, you could resell that and make a profit off of it, for sure. It's a good hat. At any rate, we appreciate it very much. He says, if you find any more vintage, rare, or unique Phillies items, please keep me in mind. Thank you, Alexandria Pickers. Well, I appreciate that. Brian Klaus, who's also... Is Brian? Oh, no, that's out in the other shed. Been just awesome to us over the years. He took us to a Phillies game against the Angels last year, so that was a good time. So, love you Philly fans out there. I am curious, though, for what you guys think out there. If you think any of these things are a real threat to reselling, if you think that, you know, I'm going to say this. I'll say this really quick, since we were on the political kick. A lot of folks that responded to those videos responded with, hey, you know, contact my politician. You know, they love small business, or they would work in our favor and that kind of stuff. And I look, and they name the politician. And both sides of the aisle, I'm like, listen, not only do I doubt that, but some of them were co-signers on the legislation themselves. So it's really not a political issue. I don't want to go into it because it seems more political. But I can tell you, I've done a ton of research on this. It is both sides of the aisle on particular issues. It would be shocking to some people who think that their politician, you know, we all hate politicians and lawyers, right? Until you need a lawyer and you love your lawyer. Until, you know, it's your politician that you voted for and then you like that politician. So it's, you know, I think issues are far more important and much more helpful in this community anyways when you talk about the particular issues than talking about the cult of personality on the right and the left and all the stuff that goes on in between. But I guess I'm getting a little political myself, I suppose. But I am curious to know what you think is a threat to reselling. Maybe your top 2 or 3. If you think any of these things are, if you think it's something completely different, or like somebody told me the other day, I was the biggest threat to reselling. So maybe that's the case. Are you a threat? No? Sold these. These are under our $15 kind of threshold, but I didn't care. I love them so much I wanted to sell them. These are the old monster, what do they call them? Let me get it right here. They call them Rubber Ugly Monster Jigglers. They're finger puppets. And I remember these when I was a kid. I'll just keep them in the bag. And I'm like, there's enough of those that we can sell them and get a little bit, I think. And we did, and they sold pretty quick. What did they sell for? Sold on discount, I think, or send offer, $12.30 plus shipping. You know, every once in a while I pick something because I think it's, because I'm a pro picker and I know what I'm doing. I think that's it. Let me double check on this side here. I think I know what I'm doing, and I get these things because I see another picker pick it up and it's like 50 cents or something. I'm like, man, I'm gonna do good on these, but they're really not that good. Some vintage flannel underpants, long johns. They're cool looking though, and they sold for $12.95 plus shipping for both of them. So not a great buy, but hey, I'll take the profit. All right, y'all, we got Reagan here, and she's got a couple of things, 3 things today. One of them she didn't know about, I'll surprise her with. But who won the My Reseller Genie 1 free month that I'm going to send them?
Jennifer Clark 5517.
All right, congratulations, Jennifer. Send us an email at commonwealthpicker@gmail.com We appreciate that. And ABC Matt got this Taylor Swift CD. It was a charity auction for Mary's Van over at Isaiah House. Thank you. You got a good enough deal on this. We did an auction on dibdit.com where I was hoping this would work out. We'd get the money to go to charity, and Matt would get something that he could resell and actually make some profit on right there. So thank you to Matt. As always, ABC Matt, go check him out on YouTube. We appreciate you. And that's going to go there. And then there was one other thing, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, the stickers, which I don't have them in my hand, but we have them now, and we're selling them right now. Maybe I'll put the picture up right here over there on the website. We ordered 100 of these stickers last time, which is way more. We've always ordered 40. We sold 60 of them. So it looks like there's demand for about 40, 50, 60 stickers. So this time we ordered 50 for the Q2 Enema Man booster stickers. You can go check that out, and those are available. I know some people collect them, and where can they find them, Reagan?
Bye, and don't forget to get your sticker at CommonwealthPicker.com.
Thank you, baby. All right, y'all, you have to indulge my nerdiness right here. We usually do Commonwealth comedy with Turner, but I want to mix in something that I love. I've said before, and I often use quotes from all over the place. I use ones from Socrates and even some from Genghis Khan, for goodness sake. I just love proverbs from around the world. And so I'm trying to indoctrinate my poor son into loving what I love. It probably won't work, but every once in a while I'm going to have him read one of those. So he's going to read one today. All right, buddy, what do you got?
When pride comes, there comes shame, but wisdom is with the quiet in spirit.
Ah, very good. Pride cometh before a fall. I love that one. Thank you, bud.
Bye.
This next one's one of our old faithfuls, and let me tell you, I'm a little shocked to see the quantity left on this one is only 10. Because you've seen me digging this thing forever. We sold a lot of the good stuff, the Hulk Hogan stuff right off the bat, but we are down to 10 of these right here for these. It seems like, yeah, the typical NWO ones. That whole bag looks like it's the same thing, though. Nope, it's not. So yeah, we are down to 10 of these NWO skull caps. And they're going for just under 10 bucks a piece, free shipping. See if I can even find this next one. It's been a long time. Fort Benning, is that it? The red one? I need to send this out. Is this Fort Benning? Paris Island, not the right one. Gotta be here somewhere. I bet it's there. Probably right there. It has been around a long time. Yep. Nope. That's not it either. Fort Leonard. All right, I had to set the camera down. I think I've screwed something up here, so I'll have to make it right. But this was a DVD or a CD. No, it's a DVD for Fort Benning, but this says Fort Leonard. So I'll have to check out the listing. But either way, it's sold for 15 bucks plus shipping. Went to Samantha. So Samantha, I'm going to send you an email right after I film this here. Make sure that everything is straight, and if it's not, we'll make it right. But love your channel. I appreciate that you show the reality of reselling. I was underestimating the amount of time sourcing and selling and shipping really does take. There's no doubt about that. Seeing that helped keep me from getting in over my head to keep up the great videos. Yeah. And storing things and moving things around and doing inventory and bookkeeping, all that stuff. It takes time, and I don't even show all of it, to be honest, because, I mean, how many people want to see me reorganize a bin or inventory a bin, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into it for sure. Cleaning things and, you know, corrosion and all the stuff that goes into it. So, but that is a good comment, and if you are new to reselling or just watch for fun, just know that there is a ton of work just to get to this point. And these weren't even amazing sales today. There was no real high dollar priced items on these sales, but there are some awesome ones tomorrow. I can't wait to make that video. Should be fun. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody out there for watching. As always, we appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you next.